All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. This is the Maple County Unified School District Board of Directors meeting for May 7th at 6 p.m. Second item on the agenda is the agenda review. I have two revisions. First of all, the first one, item 11, says potential executive session. There will be an executive session. And I would like to move item 8B, food service management contract, to right after the Pledge of Allegiance and before visitors to accommodate our guests. We're here specifically for the contract. All right, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in standing and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have the food service management contract. So need a motion for discussion. So need a motion to approve the food service management contract as outlined in attachment 8B to the Underwood Catering Group. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Bree's going to take us through some of that.
Yes, absolutely. So MRUSD went out to bid for a food service management company because we had hit the end of our term. With that, we had 3 vendors show up to do the school tours of the cafeterias. So it was Underwood Catering / Abbey Group, Fresh Picks, and Genuine Foods. After all of that, we only received a bid back from the Abbey Group. And we are very happy with their services. The total estimated contract cost would be $1,891,648.86. And are there any questions?
What's
What's the length of the contract?
What's that?
What's the year length of the contract?
It is 3 years with options to renew on year 4 and year 5.
Do you folks from the Abbey like to say anything about the contract or anything?
We would like to say how grateful we are and thank you very much for your trust and support. I know we've been here for a long time, but every year we dig in to keep it innovative, to respond to the students, to respond to the community. Megan and her team do a phenomenal job interacting with the wellness groups, putting on themed events. I'm Nina, by the way, I know most of you, but I'm from head office. I'm the Chief Operating Officer representing Sherry, Abby, and all our team at HQ that, just want you to know, again, how grateful we are, how much we love to support you, and looking forward to the next 5 years.
Great.
Any questions for us, any specifics? And of course, our door is always open for questions at any time. All kinds of feedback.
Does the board have any additional questions? Charlie? No?
Nope.
It looked like you.
I have one, but I swallowed it.
Oh, no pun intended.
Well, thank you very
Okay,
much, and
we're just
thank you for moving us up.
We're going to take our vote.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes. You're not in yet. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the approve the food service contract to the Abbey Group, the Underwood Catering Company Group / whatever, however you do call it. We ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can leave now. Nice to meet you both. Okey-doke. we're at the visitor section of our agenda. Is there anyone in the room that's going to want to address the board? To me first. And is there anyone online that's going to want to address the board? Raise your hand.
Nope, nobody yet.
Okay, so the public comments visitor section of the meeting is an opportunity for community members to address issues of concern about policy, budget, and administrative matters, or to share ideas about how we can work together to improve our schools. We value input and respect divergent views. We ask you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes per topic and refrain from airing grievances with individual members of the school community, including respecting the privacy of students and parents. Those attending remotely may type their name in the comments section if they wish to speak. During the meeting, the comments will be disabled. Please state your name and your town of residence before you speak. Jen, are you wishing to go next?
Yes.
Okay. Turn my trusty timer on.
I don't need.
Oh, okay.
I saw that the echo of Dr. Jen Williamson, I'm in the town, and my kid goes to State Tech, and will be graduating and going to BFA next year. I just wanted to say I saw that the equity policy was on the agenda tonight, and I'm so grateful to be included in like every step of this process. And it's just so exciting to like finally be done and at this point in adopting it. So I just want to say thank you to you all who have worked on this as the board, as a community member, and as a parent. I really appreciate how much work has gone into this. My only sort of like nervousness going forward is like, what does this all mean with the new Secretary of Education and how they want to coalesce all the different student unions into 5 districts and all that. Makes me a little nervous, but here in Maple Run, I'm just really happy about all that, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? John, anyone online?
No one online, Linda.
Okey-doke. Next, we have the consent agenda. We have the minutes to media packet and link to the annual report and work plan. Anyone wish to pull any of those out for discussion? Hearing none, consent agenda is accepted without objection. Reports to the board, this is where the student board reps usually report, but I'm not seeing any. They're probably.
No, well, I know some of them are at track meets, some of our regulars. But I will tell you that I didn't think to check in with them today because they've usually been really on top of it. So
Yep.
I kind of feel like I have to go back to that, checking in with them.
Well,
But
They
I know they're busy, so.
they could come around to the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to old business. First item on the agenda is the Vermont Education System Reform Status and Update. Phil.
Yes, so I think the last time we were together, the House either had voted or was about to vote the H-454 out of the House and have it go over to the Senate, which it did go out of the House. That was approved by the House. And then it's been in the Senate for 2 to 2.5 weeks. And last Friday, the Senate Education passed it out. And their version is quite different than what the House's version is. And it really, places that it really differences on is that the, that there's, it's allowing, or it's not, I shouldn't say it's allowing, but it's creating a task force of just House and Senate senators to determine district boundaries. And it's also allowing for supervisory unions instead of just school districts, which will allow for multiple boards within the supervisory union. So kind of going back to some of the pre-Act 46 work. And it's also allowing in the House's version under private schools, it allowed the foundation formula per pupil amount to go to a private school. This is allowing full funding for whatever the full tuition is to a private school. So for those towns that have choice, the and where students are attending private schools, it would allow the full tuition to be paid, not just the foundation formula amount. So that's a big difference. Some of the tuition bills for school choice are over $25,000 per child, where when we were looking at the foundation formula, it's based around $14,000 to $15,000, depending which version. The House version had around $15,300 per pupil. They're also changing the weights quite a bit. And so what this is doing is really setting up a battle of rural schools aligned with towns and school districts that have school choice, mainly for high schools, and then the rest of the state that has public schools pre-K through 12. So it's going to be interesting. Senate Finance has it right now. They've also changed the amount for the foundation formula for 15.3 that was recommended by research done, and I can't remember the woman's name that did it. They lowered it to 14,800 and changed the weights. If the Senate version were to go through, Maple Run would lose about $4 million in money that we receive from the state right now. So it's, I think we're in for, my opinion is that this is going to take a long time, a lot of discussions. I don't know where we're going to land. I have talked to a couple of legislatures in the past couple of days, and they say it's all over the place in the state. When you're not in a committee room, there's all sorts of ideas flying all over the place in the state house right now. So that's kind of the update. If I see something substantial that I've said to you before, I'll let you know through email and say, hey, you might want to take a look at it. BSBA does a great job of giving you weekly updates, and they're receiving this. John?
Do you have any insight as to why, or the motivation behind wanting, supporting full tuition for
Because
private schools?
that's what's happening, right? It's pretty close to that right now, which was, right now it's the average tuition of a high school cost for the state of Vermont.
Right, it's 15.
It's not 15 now, it's much higher than that, it's in the low 20s.
Okay.
And so what they're trying to do is actually they're expanding that. I mean, this is coming from, if you look at the Senate Education Committee, there's a lot of private school state senators sitting on that committee. And so it's really going to become that. I've heard different from Senate leadership that they're not behind what the Senate Ed Committee produced. And so this is what came out of Senate Ed.
I hear you. I guess it's just confusing to me if the goal behind this is to save money, right? To reduce costs to towns, then that's just confusing to me.
It is to a lot.
Thank you.
Would that count like as speed academies?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, if I live in a choice town, and if my child wanted to go to a ski academy,
Crossman, right?
they could, yeah, it's $50,000 a year.
It also counts as parochial for Catholic schools and that kind of thing.
It does because of the federal ruling on Carson v. Macon and so like towns in Vermont have to pay for their students to go to a parochial school when they're school choice, but they take out the cost for the religious education. And that was a case that happened in Maine, and then it's gone across the United States.
Can they go to an out-of-state private school?
Currently, and what they're doing is saying within limitations, so many miles from the Vermont border, which would capture a lot of the private schools in New Hampshire, in Quebec, and in Western Mass. It really become it's very different than either the governor's plan or the House plan.
And what about Stansted? Would that still
That
be
would fit because it's a mileage from the border and Stansted, Joanne, you probably know this because you're working Franklin Northeast, but there's many kids that go to boarding school in Quebec that live in Montgomery, Richmond area, Berkshire. And we have kids in, they go to boarding schools in New Hampshire that might be within the mileage. It's a strict mileage from the border.
Okay.
Way through.
Any other questions?
So in the Senate Finance Committee where it is right now, we have, Franklin County has a senator. sitting on there.
Senator Brown, yeah.
So we have, if we have opinions to voice toward the Senate, then we have an outlet to do that.
You do, yep. Yep, and that, I think Joanna's point is this really saving us money or going to cost us money? It's a good one. A joint fiscal model, released the model on Monday about that. And that's where I'm getting that we would lose $4 million from Nickel.
Well, thank you for that.
There's a long ways to go, so.
I hear you.
While it sounds arduous, I think there's gonna be a lot of conversations. I frankly don't have any crystal ball where it's gonna land, or if it will land.
Okay, thank you again. On whole business B, I need a motion to approve policy C29, equity policy for adoption, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Joanna?
Okay, we have a first motion and a second. Discussion, please. Anyone have any discussion? I'm hearing none. Okay. I guess we're ready to take a vote. All in favor of adopting C29 equity policy as recommended by the administration, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Where'd that come from? Thank you. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries with 82810, right? 8.50.
8.5.
No, 8.5.50. All right, next item on the agenda is the reflections on board retreat. So you should have in your packet, I think, and we have some paper copies if you need them, but you should have in your packet the attachment 7C, which looks kind of like this. It has the district goals, and then it has strengths and places to grow. And we have a district goal on each page, and there's 5 of those. And then the board goals are toward the end. And when we had our retreat, as you recall, we didn't get through all the board goals. We got through the district goals. So what we need to do in order to make some movement on this is to come up with our priorities under the places to grow. And pick one thing for sure and maybe 2. And I mean, if there's 3, there's 3. But we need to be able to take some action and have a plan. So that's the best way we can do it. If we, I was saying the other day, if we were in a room still having our retreat, we'd have these flip charts on the wall and we walk around, put dots on our priorities, and the ones with the most dots would get the points to move forward. So I think, Bill, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think, one of the things I was thinking about is looking at do you have a priority place to grow? Does each person have a priority place to grow for each goal? And then be able to think about, sharing those here tonight. And then we can try to collect those and bring that back. And as we're creating our continuous improvement plan, I think there'll be a lot of alignment with the leadership teams, with the building leadership teams and the district.
Charlie, anything? Anything,
I
Charlie?
think that covers pretty well.
Okay, so should we just take them one goal at a time? Yes? No? Does anybody have any ideas? Okay, let's just take the first goal, opportunities for family and community engagement. Under places to grow, we have beginning of school year engagement with family, identify ways to increase attendance, move to a more two-way conversation, curriculum, scope, sequence, outline, educational families, community online, academic and SEL education. So, is there a theme in here? Looks like the communication might be one of them.
Yeah. Yep.
So, we could focus on, more two-way communication came up in our discussion, I remember. We talked about that quite a bit. We also talked about, I think it comes up later, but we talked about beefing up our website so that it had easier to navigate and find things that we needed to find. So I don't know how we turn that into, help me, Bill, how do we turn this into?
Well, I think go ahead, Charlie.
So,
All I was gonna suggest is that maybe you go up and down the table and say, is there one that really resonates with you? And see what people say, and if there, or someone sees that you were trying to ask about a theme too, but, if there's something that resonates,
Okay,
that's in common, that might be a good place to start.
okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Mary Ann, you have anything that rings to you?
On the places to grow,
Yes.
curriculum scope sequence online. I don't really know which.
Okay. Jess?
The first one, beginning of school year engagement with families, but I would like to see that just be school year engagement with families. I feel like we talked a lot about bringing the families into the school more.
Amanda?
Yeah, I agree with Jess, the engagement with families, especially with parents, children who are just starting out in our school system.
Okay. That's Joanna in the corner.
Yeah, good place for me. So I wrote beginning of the school year engagement and totally support that it needs to be year-round engagement. And I'll say that I think that it's imperative to have, to put a focus on the beginning of the school year engagement, simply because it begins the relationship, sets the tone for the year, and a lot of communication can happen at that time. So I wouldn't want it to get watered down into trying to, have good engagement throughout the whole school year. I really would like to put an emphasis on that for myself. And, I think that communication can be the focal point, and then we could have a couple of objectives basically underneath the focus of communication. So for me, it'd be two-way communication, that beginning of the year touch point, and ways that we can just be more accessible, which includes that online communication.
Thank you. Carly?
You skip your Kuma.
Oh, sorry.
Down the line.
Sorry.
You're good, it's okay.
I can't see you all. My apologies.
Yeah, it's a weird line. So I found when Joanna said about the two-way communication, because I think that should be our focal point, because many of these fall under that two-way communication, like the beginning of school year engagement with families and throughout the year. Curriculum scope sequence online, I think, is also a really good one for teachers to understand what kids are doing learning. And that actually goes back into our rigorous academic goals too. And then education for family goes also for the two-way communication and into our rigorous and to our attendance. If parents understand what's going on, they're more likely to be engaged. So I kind of feel like having that overview of two-way communication, which all of them kind of fall under, and then having a few touch points that we should cover on underneath those two-way conversations.
Thank you. Carly?
I agree with the beginning of the school year and school year engagement with families. I think really starting off building that up will also increase attendance and events. That goes with the second one. Things like this meeting or budget meetings. I feel like we can get families and parents engaged in the school year. We can also get them engaged in these pieces as well.
Thank you. Jack?
So, I focused on education for families, as long as it's not just the online stuff. I think education totally in many ways. And I think that really incorporates all the others. One thing I was confused with was identify ways to increase attendance. Does that mean attendance in events with families, or does it, then it says decrease dropouts? That to me is a whole, like, truancy thing. Like, they're two different things. I think we need to increase the attendance of families and, community parents and so forth. And then obviously decrease dropouts, that's important. But I don't know if it goes together on that line, but anyway. So my focus would be the education.
Thanks, Jack. Susie?
At our table, at the retreat, we talked about, I talked about my personal experience before COVID, when I had a little one at State Tech and we were allowed to go into school at pickup. That and giving parents more opportunities to volunteer, because as far as the, allowing parents in school to pick up at State Tech like they did in the past, it gives parents an opportunity to meet the other parents, which directly, ties into these growing goals. And just more classroom opportunities for parents to volunteer, I think, would be important.
Thank you. Charlie?
I would put my dot next to more two-way communication, because I see that as kind of the first domino to fall that then connects to a lot of these other bits. The issue that I think has been a recurring issue is finding out how to make that communication two-way, because we put out all the information we want, is finding some way to actually engage with feedback coming back has proven difficult.
Great, thank you. And I agree, I think communication is key here, and it's kind of interesting that we have to say two-way communication, because it feels like communication should just be two-way. But, it's that one. All right, moving on. Okay, consistent policies to address bias and behavior issues. Places to grow. More info about committees who work on code of conduct. Is the message of expectations and high accountability across the district? How do we enlist more buy-in from community and board training on equity and diversity? Charlie?
I would put my dot next to the code of conduct and accountability across the district and extend that to basically every level. It's trying to figure out how a way to set high expectations and accountability for employees, teachers, employees, parents, students, right down the line.
Yep. Mary Ann?
The same committee to work on the code of conduct, and how do we get more buy-in from the community?
Thank you. Susie?
Can you come back to me?
Sure. Jess?
I think the buy-in from the community, I think if the community and the families aren't on board, it just makes it harder to put these practices in a school.
Thank you. Amanda?
I'm going to do both the more info about the code of conduct and the buy-in, because they go hand in hand with working together as a community.
Thank you. Joanna?
I'm gonna agree.
I beg your pardon?
I agree.
Thank you. Nakuma?
It's funny, because I was gonna say the same thing that Amanda said. I think the buy-in, I think having accountability on who and the expectation will actually bring more buy-in to the community so they can have their voices heard, so they know where to go and who to talk to. But I also think it's really important that we have the community buy-in as we're moving forward as a district. So I think both of those actually go hand in hand.
Yep. Thank you. Carly?
I agree, the first two bullet points.
Perfect. Jack?
How could I not Agreed, I agree. The only thing about the third one is, board training on many policies, not just the one listed there, which is important, but, I would say the board training can help with the first two. You can probably kind of incorporate all three.
Okay. Susie?
I'm gonna go with the first two as well.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you. Okay, community education and action on inclusion. We want to meet with SD?
Student voice.
Oh, geez, okay. And other leadership throughout all schools. Work towards having more opportunities for DEI cultural education. Get more information on honoring, learning different cultures around our state and community. All right. Priorities, Mary Ann.
I would really like to meet more with the student voice committee and get into the schools.
Good. Jessica.
You're such a good student.
Yeah, this is
Skip me, let me just think about it.
Okay, you're making me have to think here. Amanda.
I agree with the student voice, getting into the schools to have some good ideas, and they're the ones in there. We should hear from them.
Thank you. Joanna.
I'm gonna go with, a mixture of 2 and 3 because, I'm not just gonna say, I think they're pretty similar. So, yeah. We met with Jeff Benet, and I know that, Bill, can you help me out here? I know that something just got, I don't know if it's passed or whatever, but there'll be access for education for Native.
So what just got finished last fall was a work that was done statewide on creating units of study on Abenaki and Native Americans in Vermont. And so Jeff led that with a group of other representatives from around.
And is it now, it's now accessible for?
Yeah, all Vermont education access it. I know that our educators know about it and use what they can from it.
Okay. Sorry. So for me, I'm just saying it's not just about DEI, but just
Right.
about learning different cultures in and around our state and larger community. Sorry, thank you.
I think 2 and 3, as Joanna said, are similar. I think 1 and 3 can work well. As we work with the student voice and leadership throughout the elementary school, we can actually see what kind of cultures are in the elementary school and what needs to be taught, what needs to be brought in. And so I think using those two together simultaneously can actually bring a big voice and change.
I agree with Joanna about 2 and 3. I think they go hand in hand to learn more about Vermont history and our broader Vermont culture.
Jack.
Did you say my name?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. So 2 and 3 are very similar. Joanna said exactly what I was thinking as I was reading this. And, but I think all 3 are important. More so than the other goals and places to grow. I think all 3 of these kind of go more together than in the other goals. Places to go.
Thank you. Susie?
I agree with Jack on this. I think all 3 of them are important and they all look together.
Charlie?
I would put my top mark on number 3 because I think inclusion tends to be thought of a lot of times in the abstract and grounding it to things that people are seeing every day would be helpful in educating that.
Jessica?
Yeah, I was gonna land, I don't wanna lose the student voice, I think it's really strong, but as far as a place to grow, number 3, I just think having that appreciation and hearing the stories of the people living in our state and how they got here and their culture is very important.
Thank you. I have 3 also. Item 3. Okay, rigorous academics and expectations. Places to grow, ensure connections with staff and teachers, open communication, inform about timeline for admin, information about timeline for admin contracts, more information about graduation rate and post-graduation destinations, need more information about students' improvement across all levels, continued development of SEL curriculum. Charlie?
I would go with bullet point number 4, needing more information about students improvement across all levels, because the more information we have, hopefully the more we are able to identify shortfalls.
Good, thank you. Susie?
I'm gonna go with number 5.
Thanks. Jack?
Number 4, I think if we did number 4 correctly, we would encompass all the others. Because some of these places to grow in some of these areas are specific, and then some are general. And I think the 4th one is more general, which would include the other things. Nilda, when we talked about two-way communication before, and you kind of said we assume that the word communication means two-way. It does, but we educators often do one-way communication. We're talking heads.
Yeah.
And so I think to emphasize two-way communication is important because we need to listen to parents, listen to students, listen to community members, have our own opinions, and here I am talking like a talking head, so.
Thanks, Jack.
You get the point.
I got you. Carly?
I'll go with number 4 as well.
Nakuma?
I would go with number 4 though, but it'd be nice to be able to see, we always talk about kids getting at level, but we don't talk about the kids that start above level and grow. And so it'd be nice to see all of it, to see our achievers, how they're growing through it, and our lower achievers are growing. And so I think that's one thing we're missing across the levels, instead of just a standardized thing. And it'd be great to, I want to, of course, see our shortcomings that Charlie talked about, but also give our praises to the teachers that are doing the hard work when we do have these levels.
Thank you. Joanna?
Erin, are you ready? Joanna agrees with everything Jack just said.
Please with that.
All caps equal.
Underline, all caps.
Yeah.
She said, just said.
Captured this.
Yeah, that's probably the only wrong except for 1 year. Except for 1 year anyway, right?
Once a year.
Definitely not the only time.
Once a year. Once a semester.
Nicely put, Jack.
Thank you. Amanda?
I'm gonna go with number 4 as well.
Jess?
Yeah, number 4, and just to tag on what Nakuma was saying, I do think, in the younger grades, sometimes those higher achievers get a little bit lost in the, I don't want to say the system, but it would be nice to see a little more data.
Marianne?
Ditto, number 4. I agree with Jack.
And Nilda says 4, but I also want to add 5. Okay, the last district goal is support services for students and families, places to grow, website navigation, I think that must be content.
I think it's constant.
Constant?
Yes.
Assessment. Okay. Constant assessment and evaluation to meet needs. More staff, guidance, support staff, retain staff, one-on-ones. Resource guide with student handbook. And more media presence. Okay, those are biggie. Let's start with Mary Ann, sorry.
I would normally go with constant assessment and evaluation, but I don't want to, the teachers do so much of that already, I don't want to
Right?
that's not all that they need to do, so. And we always could use a better website.
So what did you end up with? That one?
Well, yeah. Whatever,
Okay.
whatever, Erin.
Jess?
I think definitely more guidance, staff and one-on-ones.
Amanda?
I like both the website and the resource guide with the student handbook that, we were talking about listing a bunch of resources for students and families, whether homeless, food, mental health resources outside. I think that really would be great.
Thank you. Joanna?
I'm gonna go with assessment and evaluation, and I don't mean it just in the classroom, but also for supervision for teachers and for staff and administrators and people receiving, good feedback. Because if we're evaluating all of our folks, then we're going to be providing better care and have better outcomes.
Thank you, Nikuma.
I go for a website navigation, but I think it would improve our two-way communication with families. But in that, I think the resource guide and social and the media presence all kind of go in the same thing because you can link to things. And so I think the website navigation is a great start, like jumping off to do a lot of the other goals we have.
Thank you. Losing track of who's where. Carly?
I think I'd like to know more about the resource guide and what that looks like, and if there is something, and if there is, to build upon that, and then to go out with Kuma said, to have that accessible for folks on the website.
Jack?
So this is another example where all of them are important. So it's hard I don't see a theme here, except since it's support services, I think one of the committees from the retreat must have been talking about the guidance services need more staff. Because that's what the title of this goal is, support services for students and families. So if there's a need there, I think that's important. But I think all the others are important as well.
Thanks, Jen. Susie?
I liked more staff, as a parent and student with a one-on-one at school. Guidance for them and good pay for them. There's a high turnover rate for one-on-ones because it's a really hard job. And making sure that the one-on-ones know how appreciated they are. And I think whoever is doing the media presence online, on Facebook anyway, is doing amazing because I see posts all the time. That's all for me.
Thank you. Charlie?
I go with more staff, retain staff, because whether we whether we can hire and retain quality staff has been an issue that's kept me up at night.
Thanks. So, just for the record, I think these are all important under each goal. We're just trying to figure out which one kind of bubbles up to the top, which ones bubble up to the top. So I agree that they're all important. And this particular one I want wrote for website navigation. Now, the rest are the board goals, and I think we should stop here and do the board goals another time. What do you think? We only have one board goal that's really defined with, one board goal that's defined. But yet, it's, are we okay with just going with the district goals for now? And, okay,
Yes, makes sense.
so, next.
I could just add something about the resource guide. I've been working on one at work, so the notch, all the primary cares, the messenger, NCSS, they all have resource guides they produce. So we've been working to try to collaborate them into one giant one. So, you know, we might be able to just share that with the district and link it on the website. That it's something that's being worked on.
Yeah, that'd be great. There's one that's like a trifold that we give out all over the place to parents and families that has resources from all sorts, not just medical, but and not just NCSS, but for homeless or food insecurity, you know, what are the different.
They're made all the time, they just change the information.
It changes, so we have to update it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I know one of the plans that's embedded in the handbook as well, so.
Yeah, it's something that has, I mean, ideally, there'd be an online platform and everyone's updating their own organization, but that comes with a hefty price tag.
But I think
Jess, I think there's a standard that says you can have one too. A joint mission standard for a resource guide, just so you know. So next steps. So Aaron's gonna collate this for us, bubble it up, whatever the right word is. Are you able to get that to us for the next meeting or in between even, so we can have it to contemplate?
That's the will of the board, yes.
Well, it's the will of me, I don't know if it's the will of I'm just thinking I don't wanna lose this, you know, we did so much work at the retreat and, I don't wanna lose that, I don't wanna put us in a situation where we can't accomplish it either though, so, I don't know, what do you think though with all our other stuff that we.
well, we can definitely take the tallies here and kind of put those together and say this.
And, you know, let's get a visual.
Yeah, we can get a visual, and I also, like I said, I want you to see the work of where the leadership team is right now and their continuous improvement plans. John's talked about that here with the board. I think a lot of this dovetails really easily with some of the work, and like I know some things that are coming that I said at the retreat, you don't take what you have right now. I know of things that are in the pipeline to come that will inform some of what we just talked about. So it may change some of the priorities after that, but because we're trying to get, those are needs we see as well. And I say we, but leadership team.
Do you all agree that we should try to get it, turn this around and have it to?
We have it, I don't think it'll be hard for you to do something.
Okay, I just didn't want to impose my will on the whole board unless they wanted it to. I really did mean that, even though I put that smirk on my face. Okay, so where are we? We just completed 7C. Yay. Okay, new business. This is, there are 4 items because we moved item B to the beginning of the agenda. So for 8A is attachment 8A, and it's the Ventrac purchase, and it's a new tractor for SATEC. And I would like a motion to approve the Ventrac purchase as detailed in attachment 8A.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks. Is there a second?
I'll second this one.
Okay, Bree.
Yes. So, St. Albans Town is looking to purchase a new tractor, so that it can help with the groundwork. As most of you have probably seen, they've cleared a bunch of land, and the one that they have is just not sized adequately, to maintain the grounds for what they need. They also are looking to purchase a bunch of additional implements for the tractor, so like brushes and all the different all the different things. So Derek Madden went out to bid or acquired quotes from multiple different companies, and Grassland Equipment and Irrigation came in the cheapest. They are out of New Hampshire, and their total amount was $67,707.87. The current Ventrac that they have over at SATEC is going to be gifted to Collins Pearly so that they can use that as a backup for their additional grounds work.
Thank you. Question? Yeah.
Are we obligated to go with the lowest bid?
We are not obligated to go with the lowest bid, but looking at like the prices from Grassland to Champlain, with it being all the same equipment, it's a substantial price increase.
And is it possible to go back to Champlain and say, this is the price that we got from Grassland, can you do any better, just so we could be supporting a local business rather than going out of state?
We did that, and that the $75,000 was the best they could do.
Bill, would that violate the bid law?
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
You can go with the top one, the lowest three, but you can't go back after bids are submitted and ask for any bid.
Right.
Unless you can cancel all bids and have
And where's MTE?
I believe MTE is New York. This one was New York, one was New Hampshire and Vermont.
Dairy, Hampshire, MTE.
Okay, so Grassland is out of New York then, sorry.
Ready to vote? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is item 8C. It's a VFA Windows bid award. And I would like a motion to award the VFA Windows bid as outlined in attachment 8C. Please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Bill?
well, it's Bree and I actually.
Okay.
She was gonna take it.
Free?
Yeah.
Free, Bill?
So BFA is looking to replace some of their windows, the 1960s and 1976 windows. This is a multi-year project that they are looking to get started this summer. So right now there's $140,000 that's budgeted for this year and $60,000 that's budgeted for next year. And this will be completed by the 26-27 school year. The quotes that they were able to receive was from Avo Glass. And then some of the other vendors that we have reached out to, they either declined or they just could not do the work for us. So Avo Glass, the grand total quote came in at $165,196.36. And they would be the ones replacing the windows.
Questions?
And where is Able Glass out of?
Okay, ready to vote? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. 8D, Fairfield oil tank replacement.
So,
Motion to approve the replacement of the Fairfield oil tank as described in attachment 8D. Please.
I'll make the motion to come on.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, Joanne.
Thank you. Bill?
this is part of the capital fund construction that you approved back in the winter, and we brought you many of the quotes last meeting. We couldn't get this one for that meeting. There are 2 underground tanks at Fairfield that need to be replaced. There's one that's the school's currently using, which is right on the south end of the 88 addition, which is that long addition that's by the parking lot. And there's one that was left at the old firehouse. They're both single wall tanks, and we don't know the exact age of the one by the firehouse. I don't know, Marianne, I was kind of looking if you've heard anything for age on that one. The one that is by the 88 wing was put in place in 88, but it's a single wall tank. We've had some water infiltration. We're not sure if it's condensation, but we're worried about we might get oil leakage. According to Vermont regulations, if you replace an underground tank with another one, you must have a double wall with a monitoring system, which is what we'll be putting in place, and it is quite pricey. This is above what we budgeted, but it's within the scope of budget that we approved for the whole overall, all the construction between all the schools. And this is probably the last major piece of renovation at Fairfield School that we need to do with everything we started from when we did the music art edition. We're also doing some other things, as you know, that you approved last meeting around electrical, which is sorely needed in parts of the school. We may have one HVAC PCB piece, but we don't have the clearance from the Agency of Education, Environmental Agency in Vermont to tackle that yet. You have approved the money for that. So, we had one bid. That was one of the reasons we had to go back out to bid. So we had one contractor. We approached many contractors to do it. We're kind of late in the season to do it. We asked about doing it if we held it for one more year, and said to do it again next year. We had a conversation about that earlier this week. The bids might come in a little bit lower, 50,000 maybe 100,000 lower. But every year with something that's dealing with underground tanks, you don't know what the price is to get rid of that material. So.
What kind of a time frame is this build, the project itself?
It would be done this summer.
It would be done.
Yeah, it'd be done by, it would be taken out right after school ended and be in place. We're gonna also replace all the lines into the boiler rooms themselves, which is a lot of the extra costs that we didn't think of. But when investigating the tank, it was like, we were hoping to, if you look at that south side of the school, you'll see there's a concrete pad.
Yep.
And we wanted to be able to leave that pad, but after further investigation, we're gonna pull that out and replace that pad. So we've got oil lines that are embedded concrete that we're hoping to refish instead of having to tear everything out. But we're gonna replace the lines all the way to the boiler rooms.
Is that concrete pad one that was just replaced?
No, that was done in 88 when the tank was put in place. So I think 88's right here, don't quote me on that. It's around that time that edition. We did when we did the music. I just think it was 88 edition, that's when we think it went in. It's hard to find documentation on that. But it makes sense.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to make a statement that I think this would be a really great thing to put on Front Porch Forum or Facebook for the community to see, because it's you know, some of these things are not things that we talk about all the time. You know, I remember when I first moved into my house the first year, I had to buy a new boiler, and then I had to buy I don't know, a new septic. Those aren't exciting things to be able to show people when they come over, you know. But it's a lot of money. It's a big investment into the school, and I just think it would be a great thing for people to be aware that it's happened.
Yeah, we do a little social media work on it. Aaron and John and I were talking this morning about some summertime posting of things. So,
Just, you know,
dirt piles being dug and update on summer construction. We're gonna be doing a lot of it around all the different buildings.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so this was above the budget, or within the scope of the budget.
Yeah.
So that doing this isn't taking money away from any of the other projects we have.
No. Our contingency is still very flush for the overall all work we have planned this summer. It's just when you look at the line item, it's over the line.
Anyone else? Ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of the Fairfield oil tank replacement motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is our a group of policies. So I'm gonna make the motion just to get us going, and then I'm gonna ask Mary Ann to talk about any of them if she wishes. So I wanna make a motion to approve the policies. C09 wellness, C21 search and seizure, D03 responsible computer network and internet use, D04 Title I comparability, D05 annual dissections as a first reading and move to a second reading with possible adoption at the May 21st, 2025 board meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Joanna.
Right, Mary Ann, any commentary?
Yeah, I'm just, want to say that I'm very confident in our work to meet the goals and refining our policies regarding the wellness, the search and seizure, and computer use, Title I, and animal dissection. We took the model policy that the School Board Association had in our current policy that we have and amended as we felt it was warranted. And I just want to thank Bill and Karen, Jess, and Joanna for the work that we've done. And as you read through these, that's what we've come up with.
And there is a sheet in the packet that has a summary of all those
Yeah.
changes if anybody needs to refer. You ready to vote?
And Aaron for all of his work.
And Aaron, yes. I always forget somebody.
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. So next we have item 8F, educational support professionals side letter. It's an action item. We have that side letter in attachment 8F. I need a motion to approve the educational support professionals side letter as shown in attachment 8F, please.
So moved.
Thanks, Jack. Is there a second?
I'll second Akuma.
Thank you. Discussion?
I can start, Becky, or Becky, you can start. We can chat about it. This is a side letter we've had for many years, for at least 3 years. It really affects a position up in Collins Pearly that works overnight, especially in the wintertime. And there's an extra dollar. What you want to say more about that?
It's one individual at the present time, start time of 9 p.m., scheduled to end their day at 5 a.m. And it's just put in place as an incentive to that.
Thank you. You've seen it before, those of you that have been around. It's the side letter. Ready to vote?
I just have one question. Is it one individual or one position?
One position and one individual in that 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor of the motion regarding the educational support professional side letter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Item 8G. FY25 26 transportation. A motion to approve the FY26 transportation contract. Please, I need a motion. With, is it Grand Avenue?
Yeah.
Grand Avenue. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great. Discussion. Bree.
So this is the third year that we are entering into for our transportation contract with Grand Avenue Enterprises. The way that the contract was worded was that it was 3 one-year terms, so that it was a renewal every year. So every year I have to bring it to the board. Next year we will be going out to bid again, but this is the third year, and the amount for the general education bus route, the CIP daily shuttle, and phys ed daily shuttle for the district for FY26 will be $1,689,000, which is a 7.3% increase over FY25. And the whole contract was approved back in FY '23 for the 3 year, the 3 years of the contract.
Any questions? All right. All in favor of the FY '26 transportation motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. All right, now we have the FY '26 solid waste removal contract. Need a motion to approve the solid waste removal contract as submitted in attachment HH, please. Charlie, is there a second? Thanks, Jess. Discussion, let's see, we have Bree.
Yes. So again, this is another renewal. When we went out to bid, it was 3 separate 1-year contract renewals. So our contract is with Myers Container. So we are finishing year 2 right now, entering into year 3 with approval. FY '26 for the solid waste removal for all of the schools, including Fairfield, is $43,027, which is just a 3.8% increase over FY '25.
Thank you. Questions?
Does this include composting?
No, composting is through Northwest Solid Waste District.
Okay, so that's why I would just, when I see the solid waste renewal, okay,
Yes.
I'm just confused, okay.
Other questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the FY '26 solid waste renewal contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. All right. The next item on the agenda is, I gotta get her name. We have a motion for unpaid leave request, like a motion to, or a request for, like to have a motion for approval of the unpaid leave request submitted by Jaden English. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
For a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We have given the unpaid leave that the administration can to this individual, and there's no recommendation from the administration.
So just to be clear, she's looking for an unpaid 1 day?
That's correct. We've given all that we can, that the administration can in the contract.
And it's already gone by?
Yep.
And has she been paid for it?
I do not believe so. I'd have to check in the payroll.
Okay.
Becky, if you have any more information.
I mean, I don't know if does it fill in and then you have to back it out or something?
If it's paid, we will have to call.
Okay. So, as Bill said, there was no recommendation from administration regarding this. So, any questions? So, we have a motion.
Yeah, I guess I have a question, I mean, like, she's not on salary, so she's gotta do her hours, so it's not gonna be paid.
You have to enter in a code in the pay system. I'm trying to burn that up right now and see if they review it.
Generally, you're correct, Joanna, the hours per hour, the employees have to submit their hours. But unfortunately, we're sorry, the new system was better than it is. And we all, I know Bree and Becky and Jermaine and Jean, who are payroll and benefits people, would love to be in a much different system. This is one of the problems with the system that we were required to go in from the state of Vermont for running our finances. It's not a complete system, we just have one. So we don't have everything we need electronically from what the state mandated for us to go to. I understand how that would work in maybe in private business, but we were told to go to e-finance. They took away some of the powers that we used to have.
So Bill, if this is not approved by the board,
She would be absent without leave.
yeah, but can, if she's already been paid, can the district deduct the days paid?
We'd have to work.
Okay, so that's a weak point.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, so I just,
Well, that's good, the system
I
works
was I was just making the point.
so far.
However we vote, the district could move appropriately.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the unpaid leave of Jaden English. Ready to vote? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Wait, what's the,
Opposed? Signify by,
a question.
oh, sorry.
how is it being asked? Where?
Can you restate the motion that was presented?
Motion has to be in the affirmative.
Okay,
Can you restate that?
so the motion was to approve the unpaid leave request by the applicant Jaden English as submitted in attachment 8I. So, you ready to vote now? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Any abstentions? Motion fails unanimously. Okay. Next item on the agenda, the next two items on the agenda actually are administrative contracts and non-union personnel contracts. And these fall into the category of needing to be held in executive session, so if we have that finding. So, I'd like to move that the administrative contracts be moved into executive session for VSA subsection 313A1 after making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. Will someone second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of a finding that premature general knowledge would put the person or the public body at a disadvantage, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This item will be taken up in executive session. I also would like to vote on 8J, which is 8K, which is the non-union personnel contracts. And again, I'll move that the non-union personnel contracts be moved into executive session per VSA, subsection 313A1, after making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or the person involved at a substantial disadvantage. Someone second my motion, please.
Second.
Thank you. Calling for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so these two items will be taken up in executive session. Now, we have other business, so I think we'll do our executive session at the end where it says potential executive session, we change it to executive session. Does that work for all? Okay, thank you. So, other business. We have an information request from the board for the health curriculum, attachment 9A, and John is going to present information regarding this. Please.
Yes, this admittedly is pretty easy to present. We have talked with the board for several years about having a lack of coordinated curriculum across content areas between the schools. That's not to say that we're not following the state standards or national standards, but there's a long history in Vermont of schools adopting those standards and providing resources, but leaving the day-to-day instructional decisions and the planning for the year up to classroom teachers. It's pretty typical, actually not just in Vermont, but in all of New England. And we started to make a departure from that with the envisioning plan, calling for curriculum committees to align across all our schools. And then further prioritizing that for literacy, math, and social emotional learning in 2022 to 2023. And that was really done in discussion with the board. And so the speed with which we moved and what we've provided in math and literacy is not common in schools, as well as the requirements placed on teachers to deliver the curriculum as it was articulated. So that's a long way of providing context to say that we don't have that level of programming that we've been talking about as a board with literacy and math when it comes to things like health. And so what I have done is kind of provide the outline for how that work is going to continue in other areas like health starting next year, and then also provide you the standards that teachers are operating off of and some of the challenges that they're facing, as well as some of the resources that they're sharing between the schools. It's my fastest report I've ever.
My question is, this is SATEC, so this is just SATEC's version, or does everybody have a similar?
No, so the first piece that has the slides was done by district team in 2021, 2022. The one that says health and wellness education and has the SATEC document on it, that was something originally developed at SATEC, but shared and utilized across the district in different places in different ways. Then there's the draft of the OKRs, which you'll get more information on later, but you can see that we're calling for those curriculum committees in areas like health and science and social studies and UAs to reassemble. And then the last one, if they're all in the same order, mine is it, so that's an assumption, is the national health standards that Vermont adopted.
Thank you.
I think this got in the packet a little later, like yesterday, is that correct? Aaron?
I believe so, yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I don't know if everybody had a chance to digest it. Question?
On the health and wellness education K-8, I don't know what tab that is, in 9A.
Mm-hmm.
All the links require us to sign in and different, we have to be part of the curriculum committee.
No, so most of these links are actually not our links. These are links to outside resources that the team has put together and is using. It's possible some of them are.
There's a few documents that require our separate access.
So if I wanted to go look into some of these things, I can't really go anywhere.
Any of the docs.
Oh, you're talking about the block plans that they linked?
Mm-hmm.
The 3 Rs, the puberty one, the Michigan model. I can't really go into those.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I can, I don't have the document out live in front of me, but I can look into that and see if we, for the links that we control, if we can give you access.
It looks like anything that's like .google, we have access to.
Yeah.
Will you email us with that information one way?
Yeah, I can do the follow-up on that piece.
One way or another, if we can't get.
Are we looking to set up a committee to look at the curriculum for health? Or
So we have,
that's what it sounded like in your letter.
yeah, so the OKRs for next year call for reassembling the curriculum committees for areas outside of math, literacy, and SEL. So that it's not just limited to health, but health would be one of those.
One of them.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a question. Are we doing that puberty night that was supposed to happen, I believe, last year? That got canceled due to
I don't know.
parent teachers conferences and.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be on the, I think it would be on the website, right?
Yeah, if it was rescheduled, yes, I would have to. But I just don't know.
Is there a way we can find out? We get a response?
Well,
I guess
Not
what
tonight.
my
You don't know, I
question,
understand
John,
that, but follow up?
is
Maybe, I'm not sure.
I wanted to request the health curriculum last meeting, and this is what we got, but we can't access any of it, so it's like, didn't really get any.
Well, so as far as actual curriculum, the guiding document that we have is the standards document, which is this one right here. So the other documents are just resources that teachers have shared amongst themselves, so that's just kind of a window into what teachers have created, but it wouldn't actually be a curriculum.
So that,
No, this is the standards document. So this would be the actual real extent to which we have a adopted curriculum, which is just the adoption of standards. It's the Shape America Health Moves Minds Health Education Standards.
okay. Last one.
And that's not just for health, that's pretty common for curricular areas across Vermont and districts that outside of literacy, math, social, emotional, sometimes in science and social studies, but I think I'm gonna look at Zachary because you teach music, and you don't have to respond at all, but in the music curriculum, you have national standards that drive the work at the local level. Yeah, thanks for me, what I thought. Sorry to kind of use you because you were right there. And that happens for PE and art and guidance work as well. And Vermont's adopted those standards.
Is that not just for anyone to see? I mean, why did it have to be asked? I mean,
So what I think they're saying is, we have these standards that the teachers have to choose to get to teach, and the teachers can find what fills in those standards. So there's not one general, like you can't just, they're not gonna give us one like math book that's covered throughout the district. Right now, it's not solidified throughout the district, so every teacher, school may have a different presentation of information for these particular standards.
Right, so to contrast it, when we've talked about instruction, it's mostly been math and literacy. And I can speak with a high level of detail about exactly what gets covered at what part of the year in every third grade classroom in the district. That level of detail, or even I would say prescriptiveness of curriculum, is really uncommon in Vermont and in New England. And here at Maple Run, we only have that in math and literacy. And I would actually say that, so it's not uncommon in other states around the country, but getting to that degree of prescriptiveness and control is actually very expensive and resource intensive. And we made those investments for literacy and math, but we haven't had the capacity to do that same work in other content areas yet. But yeah, thanks for calling that out, Nicole.
It was me, I came from a state that had that prescriptiveness for every level, every grade. And coming here was very, to New England in general, was to see the flexibility teachers have, which is great, because they can bring in what students are interested in and stay longer on that topic if that's what the class is interested in. And not like other prescriptive where you have to continue forward. Or if a class is going to lead on a specific topic, especially in reading and math, you can stay on there longer. To find out that it was more, teachers can have the flexibility to do what is needed for the classroom. And it's kind of hard when we're asked as a board, we want to see this when there's no manual to hand over, because it's not prescriptive. This is, one teacher may use one of these websites, another teacher may use another one. I think they try to compile the majority of the websites that are being used, but I don't think you can hand us over like, this is this book that we're going to read out of, as they can in the math and English departments.
I mean, I remember when, for the Franklin County Central Supervisory Union, right, when they decided to change things up in terms of health, and they made it mandatory that health teachers were providing health education. Understandably so, but it was also when there were SAPs in all of the schools, and SAPs were trained in a lot of the different mandated curriculum at the time, but they didn't hold a education license in health. So then maybe SAPs start to become health educators and, like, so. But I just think it's important for us to, make it a priority. I don't think we need to make excuses about, that whether or not we needed to focus in on math and English, because this has been going on for years. This isn't just like from 2017 to 2021. It's been going on a long time. And it, has been able to not be in the limelight. But if we're talking about SEL curriculum and, if we're trying to do SEL curriculum, but we're not even doing our health curriculum, that, there's opportunities for us to figure out what we can do educationally to support our students better in this realm.
Yeah, and I would just say, I'm sorry if it came off as excuse language. That was not my intention at all. It's, we have this duality of experience here in the district, and that can be confusing sometimes. So the your question was perfect to kind of highlight that. I think too, it's also important to think about, historically across the United States, centralized curriculums are usually a failure, right? It's been a big problem for the states that have spent huge money on this kind of work. I think the only reason that it has worked for us in math and literacy is because we saw the data and the teachers felt the crisis in terms of responding to student needs, and that it was actually what the teachers asked for. And so I think responding to that teacher need in that way and providing those resources was seen really as a support and not as a judgment or an extension of control they didn't want into their classroom. And the discussions that we're having now are actually more along the lines of, okay, now that we've all done this and we've had this great unifying experience, how do we balance using these as tools and kind of elevating teacher judgment to respond to the student need in front of them?
And how do we fit it all into one school day?
Yeah, that's.
Because, like you said, with music, there's a curriculum, and with this, if you don't have a PE teacher that's certified in both PE and health, then you're out of luck. You can have the nurses do some things, but then it goes into the construction of the school day, the schedule. How do you fit it in? How do you make sure that kids get X amount of minutes of PE and health education and other, unified arts access? So it's tricky, and that's why the SEL curriculum, if it could actually be embedded into the standing curriculum, then it's two birds.
Right.
So it's a big undertaking, I think, for it to be able to be realized within all of our K-8 schools, especially in Fairfield, or I'll just say smaller schools in Vermont that don't have both a gymnasium and a cafeteria, because it's going to be about space too. It's going to be about your schedule. It's going to be about how many staff are around to be able to provide those, opportunities. So it's a big undertaking. It's not just because you're focusing on, math and literacy.
It's an excellent point. I say all the time, and I think I've shared with you before, Marzano's most recent study pegs a Common Core education as a 24-year experience, right? So if you really want kids to learn everything that's in the national standards, that's 24 years of 40-hour-a-week year-round study, and we don't have that much time.
Thank you. Amanda, did you get your question answered?
I was just wondering why Marion was asking us for the improvement.
She was asking us, she was asking.
I didn't realize the whole board
Yeah,
asked
the
for
board
that.
had to agree to
Or
say.
just one person.
Have it, they
But we asked that it was a pleasure of the board to get it, not was approved by the whole board.
We all signed it.
I think we all agree.
We all agree.
All right.
So, are we good with this topic for now? I think we are.
Yeah, so can I just ask one last question? So currently, the PE teachers in the pre-K through 8 schools are not duly certified?
No, we have one certified health teacher for the 3 elementary schools, and we have a collaboration between that health educators, school nurses, counselors, and PE teachers to deliver their appropriate slices of the work.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's truly bigger than just a curriculum question, it's a staffing question too.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Moving on to we're on 9B. So I'll make a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of the individual board members participating remotely. So the warrants are going around for signature. Superintendent reports.
You need to vote.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I always forget to vote because it's so simple to go through that. Okay, did we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion about the warrants? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item 9C, superintendent report.
Yeah, a couple of things. First thing I want to recognize, I think most of you have probably seen this everywhere on our social media, but this is Teacher Appreciation Week. And our teachers are the ones who make the system run. They're the ones that meet kids every day. They're ones that take in the good, the bad, the tough times, and keep smiling through it. So the ones who are here, thank you for what you do, and thank you for the whole district. It's really, really, really important, and without them, students have a hard time learning excellent staff, which we do across the board. And so if you get a chance to see some of the staff, just thank them. That goes a long ways. And then last night we had a You Matter train, which is a collaboration between Maple Run and NCSS. They showed up, which is You Matter is a program about preventing suicide for any person. It was a great training. I know that we've had it a couple of times around the district. I went last night. I've been through a training about helping prevent suicide and just how to get someone help when they need it in the moment for probably about 6 or 7 years, and it was just reaffirming for me. I was really grateful for the partnership with NCSS. We had about 20 staff members showed up at BFA last night and had some good conversation. And I know we've had that training at BFA and at CTEC and maybe Fairfield. For SACS, we've been holding that a little bit more than happened this past year, and that was agreed upon. The leadership team might even talk about it. At city, but we're gonna bring that in something like too soon. We're going to need to talk a little bit about the board meeting schedule, and I'd like to try to put that on our next meeting's agenda. One of the meetings that's really I look at is October 1st is Yom Kippur, and that evening starts Yom Kippur, and we have a board meeting that night. I don't think that's appropriate. So I think we should look at rescheduling that. We have a couple other ones. The July one is always one of those dates we have a hard time with, so I think we might want to check in about July.
Okay.
And then, and we made a commitment as a district for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Eid, and I'm missing one. Sorry, I have them all written down here. That will have no even events across not only Maple Run, but that's happening across Champlain Valley for all 16 school districts and supervisory units. We've all committed that we nothing at that time. And so there's that. At the next meeting, John's going to do a report on what's changed in EQS, what will change July 1st, kind of highlight those. Becky's going to be here to talk about supports for staff. So we'll bring that for new staff. You've asked for that, that's been on the agenda to do for a long time, so it's coming next one. Nilda and I met last Friday and kind of tried to look at reports. So we're gonna bring you some reports in June on supports for families and students, our community connections with families and the community, and also, and then the last meeting we'll do, John's last piece will be bringing that with Alexis, the academic rigor and expectations from our May data. And then, John, I was hoping you could do an update on the summer program status right now.
Yes, so earlier this year, there was a request at the board meeting just to be kept in the loop on this, so I think this is great. One of our most successful new programs has been the partnership with the RAC and Black Creek Adventure Camps at in Fairfield and here in St. Albans. We have been able to use grant funds to reduce the cost for all Maple Run families to participate during a set period of time that we can support, so it's basically the month of July. So for all Maple Run families, they have access to these programs for half off. And then for our families that are qualified for free and reduced lunch, they're eligible for an additional 50% waiver as well, so that it ends up being at no cost to them. And these programs are incredible. And both have been super responsive. So earlier this year, it filled up super fast. We, especially the rec camp here in town, or in the city, we've been able to work with Chloe Lumbra, who's the director, and with Kelly Viens, and they have added an additional site at Collins Pearly. And this is a program that 2 years ago had 80 kids, 75 to 85 kids in it each week, and this summer they're gonna have about 250 Maple Run kids a week in the programs. It's full day, 5-day week programming. They have programming outside of the month of July. That's just the constraint that we're held to based on the limitations of the grant and how much money that we have. They have also responded to our request for pre-K and middle school programming, so they're expanding their teen adventure camp they piloted last year. They doubled the size of that for this year, and they have those kids running all over the state doing fun stuff. And they have started this year a trial of what they're calling their Rec Rascals program, which is a pre-K and K age group for summer programming. They'll be moving kids back and forth between the two campuses, so all the kids will cycle through the amazing pool. It's really incredible. And then Black Creek again is doing a similar programming, different structure, more time at the community center. They're a little bit more space constrained. They're not right up at the Hard Act facility, but they run an amazing program. And then they also do weekly field trips for all the kids to get them out into nature and doing some pretty amazing things. And this is on top of the 21C program that we have at City School, which will be running half day Monday through Thursday for part of the summer as well. So this summer we may hit, we'll definitely be above 45% of the kids in those grade ranges in a summer program, but I think we might actually get up to 50% because we still have a few spaces left in each program. So if you know people, tell them to call REC or call Black Creek or head to the website and sign up.
Are students able to go to the 21st century program at City and then go to the camp the second part of the day?
They're not right now. So the problem is we're dealing with two grants that often have language that conflicts. And so REC runs full day programming. They do have some students due to particular needs that do a half day, but it's in the morning. Their afternoon programming is more focused on the pool and less structured, and it's harder to have kids come just for that. So that's been a kind of programming limitation that they have. But anyone is eligible to go to any of the REC or the Black Creek programs, and then City is available on a space available basis, but that's space constrained. So typically we don't have any spaces available for kids to sign up for a 21C.
That's
Fun
great.
stuff.
Yay. Awesome.
So if you know anyone that's still looking for summer, that's the big part for me and John told me today. If you know anyone that's still looking for summertime fun things for their children to do, call the rec department, call Black Creek, if they still have spots.
And I would say next year when this happens, I think we'll probably run into the same thing where the wait list is full. Both programs are super responsive and trying to expand when they have demand, and we have been working with them on that. So encourage people when there's a wait list to put their name on it. Both have gotten everyone off the wait list and freed up additional space.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's all I have. There's lots of good things going on. A good one tomorrow, if you're free from 4:30 to 6, is the art show gallery up at Collins Furley. I'll be there for at least a little bit. So it's a big thing. The art was up this afternoon when I was up there, and it looked tremendous.
Okay. For announcements, I just want to thank the board for agreeing to move the May 21st meeting here to the central office. And I also wanted to ask the board if they had any other reports we'd like John to give to do some sort of archival research. Because if he, could spend some of his time off here in the next month looking up something.
I'd like him to rehash every report he's given.
Yeah.
And do it as interpreted.
Yeah.
I can talk, Milton. It's going to be you you're punishing. That's
And then we have the plan for board observations and reflections. Just a reminder, there's a lot of events taking place between now and the end of the school year, and we're still doing that process of reviewing so that we can monitor the district's progress towards on our district goals. So anyway, those forms are still available. Yes, sir.
So I've, just in terms of reflections, I went to the District Music Festival up in Swanton last week, which I didn't fill out an observation for because it's a bit bigger than just our district. It's 350 kids from all over northwestern Vermont, but it was a really good time, and I'm really glad that it was raining so that the gym didn't get too hot. But I noticed, other than it being a really good time, in terms of our district, I noticed Maple Run teachers and students took the lead on a lot of parts of it, be it introducing folks or doing solos, and that I thought reflected really well on the district in general.
Thank you. Did anyone else have anything for board announcements, by the way?
I observed sweet talk.
Pardon me?
I observed the sweet time at Fairfield School. That seemed like it was forever ago now. And it was just fabulous. I did fill out a form.
Thank you. Great. Anyone else? Okay. So, agenda for next week, future meetings, we have this, of course, for new staff and the board meeting schedule. And now I'm going to need a motion. Go into executive session. So I'd like to make a motion to enter an executive session to discuss two items: administrative contracts and non-union personnel contracts. And we'd like to go into executive session at 7:45 for 1 VSA subsection 313A1. Someone second that motion, please. Second. Okay, we're going to call for a vote. All in favor of going into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're now in executive session, and I think we should do the non-union personnel contract first, and then we can excuse everybody except for.
I'm there.
Yeah. You guys, okay. Came out of executive session at 8:05 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to approve the administrative contracts as discussed in executive session. Can I have a second?
I'll second it, Guma.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. I'll also make a motion to approve the non-union personnel contract as discussed in executive session. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion on that? Ready for a vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. All right. Any other items that need to come before the board? Thank you all. We are adjourned at 8:07. 8:06 a.m. Thank you.